Want to get paid $2,000 to $3,000 to build automations with AI? I've landed multiple four-figure clients with this SMS agent. And today, I'm going to show you the full build. It talks like a human, handles objections, follows up, and updates your CRM. If you're a freelancer or consultant that wants to stop trading time for money and start selling high-ticket systems like this is for you. I demoed this exact framework live at the AI Insight Summit in April, and it led directly to more than $10,000 in closed deals. In this video, I'll walk you through the strategy behind it and show you how to structure your own high-ticket builds. And if you want my free roadmap for landing high-ticket AI automation clients, click the first link down in the description. Now let's dive in. Today, I'm showing you my proprietary AIM agent. AIM stands for Agent Intuition Matrix, and it's the system that makes my agent sound like a real human with real human emotion and responses, and not just a robotic, canned, repetitive type thing. So built into its custom instructions, it has a brain and a heart, and I demoed this exact thing at the AI Insight Summit at the beginning of April of 2025, and it led directly to me landing multiple four-figure clients that wanted me to build AI-powered automations in their business systems. So this system works on 3 custom workflows inside of N8N and connected to an Airtable database. So first, we'll build each of the 3 workflows together, then we'll create the Airtable system, and finally, we'll walk through how it works together in real time, and this thing can automate lead intake, qualify leads, respond instantly, and follow up. All right, let's jump into the build. So for the purposes of demoing this system at the AI Insight Summit, I made it really basic and really simple. So I just connected an N8N form to an Airtable base that I built. So let's not worry about exactly what questions we're going to put in the form just yet. I'm going to just repeat all the questions that I used during the summit so you can see exactly what I demoed, but you can obviously change these questions around to fit whatever use case you're using this for. All right, so let's add an Airtable node, and we're going to be creating a new record. So every time that a new form gets submitted, it's going to create a new record in the Airtable database. So the way that this worked at the AI Insight Summit is there was just a QR code in my presentation to allow people to demo this in real time as I was speaking. So that QR code linked to the form submission, they submitted the form, and it created the new record in the Airtable database. Okay, so I went ahead and populated this with all of the questions that I asked during my presentation. So basically the gist of this is I was speaking to a bunch of business owners and entrepreneurs, and I was trying to show them the power of using AI-driven automations in their business. So I collected their name as a text field. It was required their email address as an email element type, phone number, which I told people to use the below formatting. A lot of them didn't, but that's okay. And I'll show you how we're going to use a formula inside the Airtable database to get around that. This is just a random number as placeholder text. And then I asked them, so tell me about your business. What does your business do? Who do you serve? And what makes your business special over competitors? And you'll get a sense of why I asked this in just a second. Okay, then the next question that I asked them was, pretend that you are a lead for your own business. So step into the shoes of someone that might spend money with your business. What are the problems and pain points that you have that are driving you to seek a solution? Maybe considering your business as a potential solution provider. What objections do you have about the solution offered by the business? So again, this is just lead psychology 101, asking the business owners and the entrepreneurs in the audience to think like their lead and think of some objections, some fears, and some goals that that lead might have in looking at this business as a solution provider. Okay, and then you can leave everything else as is, so respond when the form is submitted. And let me show you the options here. I always like to add the option and turn off the append N8N attribution. That's just a personal preference. It doesn't have any real impact on the workflow. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I realize that there's still no credential connected to the Airtable base, and that's fine for now. We're going to come back to it in just a sec. Okay, so now let's head over to Airtable and we're going to create our base. You can go here, click create, start from scratch, and it's going to give you something that looks like this. Give your base a name. You can just call it demo. It's not really important at this point. And then you can name your table 1. Let's just call it contacts because that's what we're capturing. Contacts, leads, same thing. Okay, so we already have the name field. We need a business description, which is long text. So if you double click here, we're going to call this business description. It's already long text, so we're going to save it. Next is lead notes. That's also long text. Okay, next we need phone number. We actually have this as single line text. Okay, now this is where it starts getting juicy. So I want to be 100% real with you. This is built for people in the US and Canada. It's using Twilio to send SMS messages. That said, you can also connect it to WhatsApp or Telegram or other messaging services, or even email. Basically, any way that you want to be able to communicate with your leads. But for the purposes of what I showed during the demo, I'm going to be using a phone number that starts with a +1 country code. So again, specific to the US and Canada. This is the long, juicy formula that I use to clean up phone numbers that people provide. Because even though I specified you need to put it in such and such format on the N8N form, most people aren't going to pay attention to that. So they might put 555-1234 or 555*1234, just crazy stuff that you can't control for. So what you need to do is ensure that your system is set up to accommodate human error. ChatGPT helped me to create this, ChatGPT 4.0, so nothing fancy. Okay, so I'm just going to paste the formula in here, click save. This is fine, just confirm that change. Okay, and then the next field is Twilio number. Again, it's a formula and it's just adding that +1 country code to the number so that Twilio is able to send the text messages or the SMS messages to them. Okay, so we're setting this up as a formula, and again, just copying and pasting +1 and the clean number in there. So it's just adding that leading one. Okay, next we're going to add email address as single line text. So click the plus, single line text, and this is called email address. Okay, next we are going to add lead response, which is long text, and then agent response, which is long text. Okay, now we're going to create a created date, which is just the created time header type, and we're including the time in the output. All right, next we need last lead response. And so this is going to be a last modified time where we're watching the specific field of lead response. And you'll see why that works in just a sec. But do make sure that you're not watching all editable fields. You're only clicking specific fields and having it looking at lead response. Okay, so come over here. This is going to be a last modified time, calling this last lead response. And again, we're only looking at lead response field. Alrighty, and lastly, we need the last agent response. So again, this is going to be a last modified time field, and it's only going to be watching the agent response field. So last modified time, last agent response, click specific fields, and we're only watching agent response, and then create. And we can ignore these last 3 fields. I was going to use them for the demo, but I ended up not having enough time because I only had 18 minutes. So we're just going to ignore those. Okay, I'm going to delete these extra records that are in here. All right, so now we have a nice clean database and we're ready to go. I'm just going to call this N8N demo test. So now we can go back over to our N8N workflow and connect it to our credential. So I already have it connected to my credential, but this is how you would do it if you don't have a connection already set up in N8N. So create new credential, then you're going to need your access token. So I'm going to show you how to grab that in just a sec, and then make sure that you have these 3 scopes added: data records read, write, and schema bases read. So come back over to Airtable, go to Builder Hub. We're going to create a new token. We're going to call this N8N demo test. You can call it whatever you want. And then we just need to make sure that we add the scopes that are listed over in N8N. So data records read, data records write, and schema bases read. Okay, I'm going to create this token, and I don't care if you see it because it's literally only being used for this demo. Oh, and I'm also going to add the base N8N demo test. So it's good practice just to only use it for the specific workspace that you need the token for. Okay, now I'm going to click create. Again, I don't care if you guys see it because this is just being used for testing, but I'm going to come back over to N8N, paste it in here, and I'm just going to call this test so that I remember to differentiate between the two and delete it later. Okay, so it's tested successfully. I'm good to go. Okay, so now I can select the base that I just created, which is the only one that has access, link it to contacts, and now I have all of my fields that we just created, so I'm good to go. So I'm going to click save, and now we can move on to workflow number 2. Okay, so we are building a new workflow. This one is the juicy one. So basically the way that it works is that when a new record is created in Airtable, it's going to check every minute for those new records, and going to send the lead notes, which is the initial form submission, like the initial notes from the form submission, and then the last lead response. And don't worry about the mapping. I'm going to show you all of that in just a moment. But what I really want to focus on is the custom instructions. This is the part that's really the secret sauce of this agent. But I'm going to explain just really quickly what makes them really powerful and cool. It's giving the agent and identity, or Pamela, an AI lead nurture agent working for a business with the following description. This is pulling the business description that the business owner or entrepreneur watching this demo in the audience at the AI Insight Summit that they specifically inputted for their business. So it's giving a description of the business, and this part where it says lead notes, this is basically what the business owner said about the problems, the fears, the goals, the objections that their leads might have. So it's informing the agent, okay, here's my business, here's my typical lead, what kind of fears or goals that they might have, to give context for the agent. And basically what makes these custom instructions special are the multiple paths that provide a trigger, an action, and an example for each path. So think of all of the potential lead or customer related inquiries or conversations that you might have. So there's either going to be the initial message where the agent is reaching out to the lead or the customer for the first time. And if your goal is to sell something or to get that lead on a sales call or book an appointment, they might have objections or hesitations. And so if that is detected, it gives the AIM agent uses its special system instructions to work through those objections in a way that doesn't feel salesy or pushy. Again, it's all about pairing the brain with the emotional intelligence like a human would do. So it covers all these different use cases: a direct information request, if they express positive intent or they're ready to buy or they're ready to book an appointment, if they're trying to say no or disengage with negative signals. And like I said, the heart is like the emotion part of the custom instruction. So this is letting the agent know how to respond with emotional intelligence, with sincerity, and you're going to see exactly how good these custom instructions work in just a sec. And then this is just the integration of those two parts, the brain and the heart, and how to execute them together to get the best possible outcome between the agent and the lead. And I had return intermediate steps turned on. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because I don't really need it. I was just using that for testing when I was putting this together. But the agent is then going to formulate a response, which is going to go into Airtable, and then Twilio is going to use that Airtable response from the agent in order to send an SMS message back to the lead or to the lead for the first time. Okay, so now let's build this together. So first things first, we need the Airtable trigger, and I have it connected with my Airtable credential. I'm going to go ahead and use the ID for both the base and the table. They should look like this, like the placeholders here in N8N. So if you are looking in your Airtable database, it's this first group where it starts with app, and we're going to copy and paste this over into our workflow. So you see this one starts with app, and that's how you know it's in the correct spot. The next is the table, which starts with the TBL. So it's going to be the second group that starts with the TBL after this dash. Copy and paste that right here. Okay, and we're going to leave it on every minute for now. You can definitely change that, but I found that that's like a really good time frame to have the agent respond immediately, but not so immediate that it feels robotic. Like if you send a text and immediately you receive a text back, you're pretty sure that's not human. Okay, we're good to go on the trigger. And then the last thing we need is the trigger field. And so we're going to use the last lead response. Make sure that you have this as a fixed value and not as an expression. All right, and we'll click save because I hate when I lose my work because something crazy happens with N8N. Okay, now we're going to connect the AI agent node, the secret sauce of the AIM agent. So hit the plus button, click AI and AI agent. Source for the prompt is going to be defined below. So the prompt is what comes in from the user. We're going to be populating that with dynamically mapped fields so that it's changing each and every time. And we want to add an option for a system message. So this is going to be where we put the magical AIM custom instructions or system message. All right, so right now I'm just going to paste in the instructions that I have for my demo, and then we're going to get our prompt in just a sec, and I'm going to show you how to dynamically map that. But we do know that we're going to have lead notes and lead response. So we're going to put this in here as placeholders right now, and we're going to dynamically map what comes after these colons right here. So stay tuned. All right, now we need to connect to a chat model. All right, so I already have my OpenAI API access connected, but if you don't, this is how you do it. First of all, go over to platform.openai.com, and then you can just search for API keys where you can view and manage your API keys. Okay, you're going to create a new secret key, and I'm going to call this N8N demo test. and it's going to go under default project. I'm going to create the secret key. I don't care if you see it because I'm just going to be using it for the purposes of this demo. So copy that, and we're going to create a new credential. This is where you paste your API key. And I'm going to name mine OpenAI Demo Test and click Save. Okay, it's successful. And I'm just going to connect it to GPT-4o. All right, so now we're going to connect it to memory. And we're going to just use simple memory. We don't need anything fancy. And we're going to set it to 50. So what that means is that the agent will remember back and forth conversations up to a limit of 50. So most SMS conversations back and forth fall well within that window, but it's going to have a memory of what was said, any important contextual clues or information about the lead. Okay, and we're going to need to define the key below. And this is going to be an expression. It's going to be the JSON ID. Just trust me on this for now. I'll show you how it connects, but this will just prevent us from getting an error by leaving this blank. Okay, next we're going to add an Airtable module to update the record whenever the lead responds. Okay, now we're adding the Airtable module that's going to record the agent's response back to the lead. So I'm going to come in here. I still have my Airtable test credential set up. I'm going to select the only base that it has access to and the table that it has access to. Okay, and when we are running our first test through here, we're going to need to map the ID, which I'll show you how to do, and also the agent response. So I'm going to go ahead and delete everything else. So these are the only two that we care about, and we'll come back to that in just a sec once we run our first test. Okay, and the last step is that we need to connect to Twilio, and it's going to be sending an SMS message. With a Twilio account, you can also send a WhatsApp message. So if you're outside of the US, you can also sign up for a Twilio account and send WhatsApp messages, just FYI. But once you have your Twilio account, all you need to do is grab your account SID and your auth token. So we'll come back to N8N. We'll add or create a new credential. We'll call this Twilio test demo. And then you're going to paste your account SID and your auth token here. I'm not going to do that because I already have one set up, but you understand how to do it now. Okay, so now that we have our Twilio account connected, we're going to be sending an SMS message. The from number is your Twilio number in this format. So +1, the area code, and then the phone number. And you can add that as a fixed value. And then we're going to dynamically map the two phone numbers. So the phone number of the lead that's going to be receiving this. But we're going to come to that in just a sec. If you wanted to use WhatsApp, you would toggle this on. And then this is where the message is going to live. So that's where the agent output is going to go. And we're going to walk through that in just a sec. Okay, so let's test out our first workflow so that we can get some data into our Airtable database. So we're going to come here and click this play button. And we're just going to make up some info. Beth at example.com. Okay, and I'm going to use this Google Voice number, so y'all don't be texting me. This is just a throwaway number for the purposes of this demo. And then I'm going to fill out these descriptions as well. All right, so now I've answered these questions. So I'm acting as if I'm the business owner, which I am. I build AI-powered automations for small businesses and entrepreneurs, yada, yada, yada. You'll get to see that more in the Airtable database. And then my target audience, my target lead is a small business owner, but I'm not sure if AI or automations are right for me. I'm scared, So now I'm going to click submit. So the form has been submitted, and now we can come into our Airtable module and make sure to map everything over. Okay, so for name, we're just going to drag this over. Business description, tell me about your business. And when it turns green and you can see the output below, that's how you know that it's mapped correctly. Phone number goes in here. Pretend you are a lead, gets mapped into lead notes. Email address goes in the email box. And then we're going to leave lead response and agent response blank because the lead hasn't responded yet, neither has the agent. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Okay, I'm going to click save, and then we're going to test this step. Okay, and now let's go check out our database to make sure that Beth is in our database, which she is. Now you can see the business description, lead notes, the cleaned number, and the Twilio number. So I just want to show you like an example of how it would look if they inputted it wrong. So let's say they put dashes in between here. So that's not the correct format. The cleaned number formula and the Twilio number formula will account for that to make sure that when it goes to send an SMS message, it is cleaned up and formatted in a way that Twilio can ingest. All right, and like I said, lead response and agent response going to be blank because nobody has responded or sent a message yet, and that means the last lead response and agent response time is also going to be blank. So perfect, now we know that that's working. Okay, now let's come into workflow number 2, and we're going to trigger this Airtable trigger. All right, so it's telling me the last lead response doesn't exist. I believe I know why. So in your Airtable, which this is good that you get to see me troubleshooting this because I made a mistake in when I was initially telling you how to set it up, but we need to have last lead response watching the lead response, but we also need to add in lead notes. So you can kind of think of the lead notes as like the initial lead response, even though it's not really, but we do need to make sure that it's watching that field because that way it's tracking when the lead first comes in and provides their initial response or the initial, fears and goals that they have about potentially using your business as like a solution provider to whatever they need. And so now the last lead response is populated. We can come back in here and try again. All right, so you see it came through and now we see all of Beth's info. Okay, now we're gonna send it to our AI agent, but before we do, we need to map the prompt according to what the lead form, but now we need to dynamically map the expression that's going to feed the user input for the agent. So the lead notes is just going to come straight from here where it says lead note. Okay, and we also need to map the lead response. So even though it's not dynamically populated over here because the lead hasn't responded to the agent will send a message to the lead and then the lead will respond and that's the lead response. I'm going to just show you a quick trick for how to shortcut that. So we're just going to copy and paste this expression, and then we just need to change lead notes to lead response. And the reason why we know that it's okay to use lead response as in that expression is that it's named lead response, capital L, capital R in the Airtable database. And so therefore, that's how it's going to come across in N8N. All right. So right now it's going to turn red because there's no data being populated for that, but it will when it is going back and forth between the agent and the lead. So you'll see what I mean in just a sec. All right, so now let's check out our custom instructions. This was already dynamically mapped because I just copied and pasted the existing custom instructions, but just for the sake of clarity, let's make sure that we are doing this together from scratch. So there's going to be some blank spots in there, or you'll see some expressions in there that may be red. So this is what you need to change. So we're going to start with the name. So it's going to go, hi, name. And over here on the right, you can see it says, hi, Beth. I wanted to reach out because blah, blah, blah. Okay, so where it says, this is what you know about the lead so far, this is where it's going to have the lead notes. So we're going to drag that over. And so you can see it populate over here on the right. And then you are Pamela, an AI lead nurture agent working for a business with the following description. This is where we're going to drag and drop the business description. And so over here on the right, you can see Pamela has her job description filled out for her. Okay, and then the last thing is under path A, where it says action. So clearly reference the lead's initial pain points or concerns as noted in, and this is once again going to be the lead notes. Alrighty, let's save that. And we're going to go ahead and execute this next step to get the data from the Airtable trigger into the agent and produce a response. Okay, so now it has come up with its output, and we're going to go ahead and use that output to populate the Airtable update record module. All right, so we need the Airtable ID and the agent response. The agent response is just this AI agent output. So I'm going to drag this down here, and then I'm going to expand the Airtable trigger module and drag the Airtable ID right here. And that's being used to match the agent response to the correct lead in the Airtable database. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now we're going to run this next module, make sure it works. Okay, so if we come back over here, we can see it populating in real time. And so it shows up as the last agent response was just recorded. And it also shows how the agent responded to the lead and their problems and pain points, their goals, as they described in the form submission. All right, lastly, let's come back into Twilio, and we're gonna grab the to phone number so we know who we're sending this SMS message to, or the agent is sending this message to. So what we want is the Twilio number from the previous module, the Airtable module. So it's just called Twilio number. We're going to just drag that over, and it's going to dynamically map it like this. And the last step is that we need to add the message that the agent is sending to the lead, and that is going to be agent response. So just drag that over and voila. Alrighty, so I have opened up my Google Voice throwaway number, and we're going to test it to see if Twilio will send an SMS message that contains the agent's response by clicking the play button. All right, here we go. Hi there, I understand you're worried about the cost of AI and automations. Can you share a bit more about your current business situation and needs? Cool, so we know that that works. Now we just need to close the loop with the third and final workflow. Okay, the final step is we need a Twilio trigger. So whenever the lead responds, it's going to find the lead in Airtable and update the Airtable database with the lead's response. Okay, so let's create a new workflow. Just going to call this workflow number. Okay, first step is adding the Twilio trigger, and it's going to be on new SMS. It's already connected to our Twilio account, so we can leave the trigger on as new SMS. All right, and then we're going to add an Airtable module so that it can search for the correct record. So we want to search records, N8N demo test, or whatever you named your base contacts. All right, and we do need to filter by the phone number. So we want to make sure that we're only sending text messages back to the phone number that is intended for us to send those messages to. All right, so let's click the play button on the Twilio trigger, and I'm going to respond on Google Voice. So I'm saying, hey, I'm a home renovator making about $5 million per year, and I'm going to go ahead and respond. Okay, as you can see, that message came through successfully. Here is all the data. And so we're going to use that to filter by formula using the phone number that they sent from. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is curly bracket, Twilio number, and close curly bracket, equal sign. And then we are looking for the phone number that they sent that message from. So let's just scroll down here, see where we can find it. And so it's all the way down here at the bottom. So we're going to just drag this over, make sure we remove that space and close that off. So that's looking good. And now we can execute this step and see if it returns that record from Airtable. Just realized I had this extra close quote at the end. So I went ahead and removed that and we'll try it again. Okay, cool. So we are searching for the record and now we need to update that same record. So we're going to add another Airtable module. We're going to find update down here at the bottom. Once again, select the base and the list. Okay, so we will drag the ID over, and the only field that we're going to be dynamically mapping is the lead response. So we're going to come to the Twilio trigger and look for the lead's response, which is down here under body. Hey, I'm a home renovator making about $5 million per year. So I'm going to drag that over to the lead response field, and I'm going to just delete everything else, just to keep things clean and tidy. All right, so the goal of this module is to get that data updated with the lead response. So that will drop right in here if this is successful. So let's click execute step. And as we can see, it just got updated. So we are good to go. All right, I'm going to save that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the workflows and just show you in real time how this works. All right, so let's make these active. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit a new form and just show you the responses that I get here in Google Voice. So let me go ahead and delete this old one. So I'm just going to double click in here. I'm going to grab the production URL. Hope y'all aren't going to be out there submitting responses of your own with the link. Okay, I'm going to just open a new incognito browser and fill this bad boy out. I'm just going to use a little bit more real detailed information so you can see kind of the AIM agent in action. All right, so I filled this out with detailed info. I'm going to click submit, and we got the first entry here. So that looks good. All right. And now we're just going to hang out here in Google Voice and wait for the agent to respond. And you can see the back and forth flow between me and the agent. All right. So we have our first response. So I was pretending to be the owner of a dental clinic. So either I understand you're feeling overwhelmed by admin work and have concerns about AI. Can you tell me more about your current challenges at the dental clinic? So personalized, it's not crazy robotic. It's using real human language that sounds like a real human. So I'm going to go ahead and respond. My office manager just quit and I'm having to run the office and see patients. I need help with paperwork and answering phones, but I just can't afford to hire someone else right now. So we're going to send that off. And you can see the timestamps on here to just give you an idea of how quickly this back and forth is taking place. And of course, behind the scenes, we have the lead response. We're going to delete Beth because she's using the same number, so we don't want our agent to get confused. But you can see behind the scenes, the Airtable database is kind of managing that flow back and forth. All right, so you can see these are like a minute apart. So again, it's close together enough that it seems human, but not so close together that it seems like there's no way somebody could be responding this quickly. So I'm really sorry to hear you're going through that. It sounds challenging. Have you considered what specific tasks you'd like help with first? All right, now you've seen the AIM agent go end to end. N8N handles the logic, Airtable stores the conversations, Twilio keeps the conversation human fast, and the AIM system instructions give your agent both a brain and emotional intelligence. This is the kind of automation that makes business owners wake up to what's possible with AI and automation. If you want to stop getting paid by the hour and start selling systems that generate high-ticket paychecks, grab my free roadmap below. It's the exact client-getting strategy that I use to go from a hobbyist to a high-ticket consultant in 90 days. I teach freelancers and consultants how to turn AI and automations into real cash flow. So if that's you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe on your way out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.